We got Jeremy Elliott on the damn line now, don't we?
Yeah, yes, you do.
You sound wore out. What did Gravel do to you after you got off the cameras? Did you go around the corner with him or something? What happened? He wear you out?
No. I've been on the phone most of the night. So.
Oh, okay, on the phone.
I work. Yeah, I work, Chaz.
Oh yeah, because none of us, us peasants out here don't. The glory of Jeremy Elliott does.
No. You called yourself a peasant. That's an inferiority complex you have. I didn't say anything about anybody else.
I like that how you just said inferiority complex. That's nice. That's almost like socioeconomic. You know what a socioeconomic complex? I'm assuming you do, but no. So we were just talking about you, by the way. I know you're used to that one. You're used to me talking about y'all. Well, I don't think I talk about you at all, really, but we were just getting on to how you called me out. I think you called me out on this stance that I think, and let me just say it. I was about to get into it with him. I do think, and I was making the point how I was saying, the Outlaws are somewhat to blame to why the Starbucks girl doesn't know what sprint car racing is. I think there's a fair statement in that. I just do, because I think that every sport has a brand or an organization that comes along and takes this sport or a form of entertainment and takes it to that next level, and they end up being the brand that represents that form of sport. Like NFL, football, there's a lot of organizations, I'm sure, that were trying to do football back in the day. The NFL just figured out how to do it right and took it to the next level. NBA did the same thing with basketball. UFC for sure did the same thing with MMA. And even in a weird way, the World Wrestling Federation with Vince McMahon did the same thing. And what they did a weird, interesting thing with WWF, actually. They did something kind of similar to what the dirt racing world does. They went around and bought out all the little bitty organization, regional series, I guess you would call it. That's what the world Vince McMahon did. He went around and bought out all the regional wrestling event places and kind of branched it and put it all under one umbrella. So I see what y'all were saying tonight, the sport's not ready and this and that, but the sport's not ready and this and that were also said to those people who were thinking of doing something bigger with MMA and wrestling and football and basketball. The sport's never ready. It takes the innovator, the entrepreneurship, the marketer to take something that isn't supposed to be and to push it to that level. So that's where I would stand on that. I mean, and I was only making the point with the World of Outlaws as to say all these people are freaking out that, oh, well, what could Kyle and Brad do if they're at the helm? Well, I already have all this evidence of what happens with the World of Outlaw brand at the helm. So let's see what the backup quarterback can do. The starter's not making the throw to society.
Well, okay, first off, I can make the argument that the World of Outlaws did that. Who put them on TNN? Who put sprint car racing on TNN?
Okay.
World of Outlaws did.
Well, they were on ABC prior to that, I believe, but that was only at select events. That was Earl Baltus and Syracuse and bigger promoters.
Correct. How did it go? Why isn't it here today?
Well, TV wasn't a very innovative segment of the world at that point, too.
It doesn't work because the reason it doesn't work is because it's so unpredictable and there's too many variables like weather. Nobody can get things done. It's not organized. The sport in general is very fragmented. We don't even have a governing body, and the closest thing we have to it is the World Racing Group. Now, that being said, I would make the argument that if you're and I'll get to the NFL in a minute, because you're leaving some stuff out.
Well, there's stuff out, yes.
But you're leaving out the biggest factor. But I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
I'm not saying that Kyle and Brad can't do innovative things and, take certain aspects to the next level, so on and so forth. I'm not limiting them. What I'm saying is to get this sport on the level of those sports you talked about, first off, we wouldn't be alive if that happened. I mean, when that happens or if that happens, we won't be alive.
Well, I mean, we're going to die before they outlaw all motorized vehicles, I think. But
but what I'm getting at is there's so many things against it being that. And honestly, I don't think the people in this sport, or enough people in this sport, a.k.a. fans, want it to get to that point. How many times have you walked into a track or been standing at a track and people get mad, oh, it's too corporate? Well, I got news for you. It's got to be corporate for it to expand. There is no way you can do it without corporate money. If you don't have corporate money, you're never going to be able to get to that point you're talking about. That's one. Two, society.
Hold on. Just hold on. So we established the TNN days, the Kings Royal on ABC, all this stuff. Yep. Syracuse Big Block, Sammy Swindell and Bob McCready down the back straightaway on the mile on ABC, one of the 10 channels that there is. Didn't it feel like there was more corporatism then? I mean, was it that the Valvoline era? Was it that the Budweiser era on sprint cars? And see, this is where I say you're saying, where did it go? I mean, I've kind of done a little research on it. This is when I say very smart people saw the rise of the dirt track fan base and siphoned it to NASCAR with the Jeff Gordon Co-Trickle era. Because they took the icon of the sprint car world that had that fan base and transferred it to NASCAR. And that's been our star since then. That's where I see it. That's the corporatism.
Yeah, but the sprint car fans, at least here,
corporatism backed out since then.
Yeah, they don't. Well, and the other thing is, I think society changed too. And I'll go to the NFL, for instance. Like, you want to bring up the NFL. Look, the NFL got lucky. They got extremely lucky. It was nothing they did. Society changed. Here's what happened. First off, the USFL, which I know you brought up, the USFL did nothing for the NFL.
I didn't bring USFL up yet. I was only bringing USFL up because you mentioned, well, this is a private conversation, but I don't know how we can tie it in, but I was bringing USFL in because you mentioned branding. And that's when I shifted to organization. It could be a brand that rises a industry, but it's really because the brand had the ability to organize a certain sport to the ability to rise it to that next level, and they carried their brand along with that organization. So the organization is what made it big.
The NFL has never changed their organization.
But
nothing branding has changed. No. This is what did it. What the rise of the NFL to what it is now, there were society changes, and there were also fantasy football. Not gambling was always in play. It was fantasy football.
Because are you trying to tell me that fantasy football was around when America's team and the damn Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders were setting the world on fire?
Yeah, but the NFL wasn't as popular then.
It was pretty damn big.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Who was bigger at the time? What form of sports entertainment was bigger than football in the 90s? This is interesting. I actually want the answer to that.
Well, the thing is, fantasy football was around in the 90s. You're way ahead of it. I'm saying the 80s, 70s. NFL wasn't as big as it is when it boomed in the 90s, and it's continued since then. And the reason is fantasy football.
Well, I would say TV as well. The 90s. Well, the 90s created the pop culture era because all of a sudden, if you think about the technologies with television, this is why I say television replaced God in a way, but all of a sudden it was kind of the first generation where every child and person had a TV screen in their living room. Like, yeah, TVs came along slightly in the 60s and 70s and 80s, but the affordability and the organization of actual broadcast television really nailed it with a new breed of humans that were born in the late 80s, early 90s, and that created these pop culture icons because they were able to put people and things and sports in front of children's and people's eyes on a mass level like they'd never been able to do before.
I don't know anybody who didn't have TV in the 80s.
Well, 80s,
I don't know
80s,
anybody.
90s. I'm just saying the millennial era.
No. But fantasy football because here's what happened. Fantasy was big in baseball, semi-big. But here's the problem with baseball: there's 162 games, and I'm going to tie this into society's change. Baseball's 162 games. They play, I don't know, Chaz 4 or 5 times a week, whatever it is.
Right.
You had to change your lineup all the time. You had to be on it every day. Well, nobody wants to do that. It changed. Society changed. Mom and dad both work. Kids get involved in other things. Too much to do. Fantasy football booms. And the reason it booms is you set your lineup once a week. Oh, then what we're going to do is it started to roll. Everybody could play. Mom could play.
It got people involved with the competition element, which is genetic.
Correct. But now society's changing. Okay, we become a society that we want our entertainment quick, and fast food society, which is we want our entertainment quick, we want it instantaneous, and then we want to move on.
You're talking about the you're talking about post MySpace, because I felt like that wasn't really the case pre MySpace, but MySpace, Facebook, the indoctrination of social media flipped to the next thing.
Absolutely. So then what happens is, and this is where dirt track racing has a problem, because you don't get your entertainment quick. You don't know how long it's going to last. I get asked all the time, well, when's it going to be over? I don't know.
Good point.
But then you get into this.
But once again, that's the organization that is needed under a brand.
You can't guarantee it. Whereas an NFL game, UFC, all that stuff, you can guarantee within a range of when it's going to be over. And you can't do that in dirt track, even high limit. And I think Brad and Kyle are going to do really good things with time management. I think that's something they're really focused on. I give them a lot of credit for that. But it's not like outlaw shows are long. They're long at the Grove because of the stupid way they do time trials, because they have to do half and bring them over and all that other garbage. But most tracks, their shows are not long. But does it matter? No. But back to the NFL. So then you get fantasy football. Oh, look how popular it's growing. Okay, we're going to put it on Thursday night. Then we're going to put it on Sunday night. And you also have Monday night, which you always had. And then, going to get a little smarter, we're going to go overseas, even though that's still relatively new. But it just booms. And then society, hey, we want that quick fix. Now you get the shows talking about the NFL. What the NFL did, some of the things that they did that was smart was embrace some of the social media stuff, but the cat was out of the bag.
I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No, you just say what you want.
But your explanation of NFL popularity, is kind of blowing my mind. So you don't believe that they had already established this dominance in the sports market in the 90s or the 80s. You don't believe Joe Montana throwing the touchdown pass to John Taylor, the Staubachs, the Terry Bradshaw. No. You don't believe none of that was relevant. You don't believe that was leading the industry in sports at that time. I'm just trying to understand.
You're confused. You keep running the 80s and 90s together, and it's two different things.
Okay.
It really is. Look. Yes, The Catch by Dwight Clark was great. But even in the 80s, I was playing fantasy football, trying to think when of course they're going to show how old I am. mean, I've probably been playing.
Well, I'm not that old, but
20...
I'm referencing John Taylor and Joe Montana right now. I'm just saying, but
well, everybody's seen that. But do you think that catch just overtook the sports world and raised it to this next level? Because
no, there were already 80,000 people in that grandstand. That's what I'm saying.
First off, there's no NFL stadium that holds 80,000 people. First
80, 60, whatever. It was a full damn stadium.
Well, okay, no. Okay, you're taking away 25% of the stadium. You're
well,
talking
I'm just saying,
numbers,
how many people were in attendance? I'm just saying there were obviously a full grandstand of a stadium. I mean, to see it.
Okay, at Candlestick Park. That's fine. There were people there, but guess what? Hockey's a spectator sport too. Go look at their ratings.
Well, go look at their stands too. I mean, they play in basketball arenas that host 15 on a good day.
Yeah, but I mean, the Hershey Bears in PA 10, it's the biggest minor league system in the country. But I'm not saying the NFL. The NFL's always been structured the same way. It has never changed. I'm telling you, gambling and fantasy football, something they had no control over, it raised it to another level. Now, once it was there.
Well, I do say that gambling is what we're missing. It just can't. The sport can't be regulated properly. I had a talk with Cody Summer, Cody Summer. I don't know if you. I'm sure you do.
I know who he is.
Cody,
I know who he is.
He runs Dirt Draft, the app, or was developing partners with Jacob Nord. And he said that that's the main reason that it can't go to that gambling aspect is because of the regulation of the sport.
Sure. I mean, I would agree. I mean, look, I would agree with that. But the NFL, think about this. Let's talk about how the NFL has hurt itself and it hasn't hurt. Think about the scandals that have over the how many years now, and it never hurts it. It's Teflon.
Right. I mean, Jim Irsay with the whole pullover deal,
yep.
You know.
Well, but I mean that was a blip. But the concussions, I covered the concussion deal.
That's a scary thing.
And it but nobody cared. Nobody cared. We become more of a violent society. We become more of and look, I'm an NFL guy. Like that's my number one sport. On Sunday, I don't like to write anything.
Well, I don't know if you can agree with that. How could you say we become a more violent society when in the 40s we killed 120,000 people in Hiroshima in 30 minutes? I mean, we're the most nonviolent society of human history. I'm just saying. I mean,
no. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that was a means to end the war.
Well, but the treaty was already signed, regardless.
No,
I don't want to have to pull up documentaries here, but I mean,
watch Oppenheimer. We were using.
Well, Oppenheimer doesn't talk about the treaty with Churchill. The treaty was already signed.
No, we were dropping it no matter what.
Well, because we paid for it, right? It wasn't because it was right or wrong or to end the war. The war was already over, and we killed 120,000 people in 30 minutes because we spent money for it. Back to money. We were talking about that privately as well, but continue.
Yeah, but again, football overtook baseball. As I know, everybody still wants to call baseball America's pastime, but it isn't.
It's horrible.
Well, I mean, I like some of the changes they made. The pitch clock, I like, because the games got too long. Here again, games got too long. There's too much time in between. Society changed. It was nothing the NFL did. The structure has always been there. It's always been the same, and it wasn't always the most popular. Factors outside of the NFL changed, and the NFL knew enough to embrace it. And they got lucky. That's it. It's like NASCAR. NASCAR got lucky.
Are you saying just because they did it first?
Who? The NFL?
Well, the only reason I referenced the NFL when talking about the sprint car World of Outlaw deal is I'm just saying any time that you see a sport that goes to that next level, there's an organization that does. It's not like football all of a sudden became bigger. The NFL took football and made it bigger.
Well,
NBA took basketball and made. Well, that's my point here. That's my overall point in this situation, is that an organization or a brand, regardless, comes in to or sees a sport or sees a way of entertainment, comes in and says, "Here's how I do it, and here's how I'm going to take it," and they take that sport or entertainment and they take it to the next level. And then they become almost bigger than the sport itself in a way. You know, like I said, NBA is basketball, NFL is football, UFC is MMA. Some people think that, even though there's other organizations that do it.
Yeah, no, I get
it. That's what I'm saying is like, and that's why I'm saying the Outlaws have failed in a way. Because if they're going to claim that they have, and they rightfully so, they've been, I don't think there's any dirt track fan right now who can say that the World of Outlaws is not the top level of sprint car racing and has been that for a very long time. If that's the claim that they're going to have, if they're going to say we're the NFL of sprint car racing and you haven't been able to take it to the next level, you are the only person responsible for that. You are the NFL that has not taken football to the next level like the NFL did. That's where I'm saying. That's where I'm drawing the comparison. I'm not saying NFL's this or that. I'm saying the NFL is the brand, the organization, or the entity that was able to see football, organize it to a point to take it to the level that it is today. That's all.
My issue with that is they got lucky. They they rode the wave, in other words. The problem in correlation to sprint car racing is dirt track racing. And you've said this, it's very small. It's a niche sport. Football is something kid can play in high school. It's something all you need to do is get a ball and go play. Tomorrow, how many kids across this country are going to go out in their yard and they're going to play with a pigskin?
I would say 75% of the viewing audience tomorrow at Thanksgiving round tables. If there's 10 people at a Thanksgiving table tomorrow watching the football games, there's probably at least 2 or 3 of those people, when they see Jordan Love, who is a college all-star, back up and miss a tight end. I'm just saying, this is what they think. When they see Jordan Love back up and miss a tight end on a little short cross, they're sitting there saying, I could have made that fucking throw. You know, they're sitting there saying, I could have been that. They're Al Bundys. Correct. They're 75% are Al Bundys.
Correct.
So I get what you're saying.
That is, it's like basketball. I mean, all you need is a hoop. I can go right now. I can go over to South Hills Park. It'll be in the dark, but I can go over there with a basketball and shoot hoops. It costs me nothing. The problem with dirt track racing, it's niche. Not everybody can do it. And honestly, people don't identify with it as much as, cars. Look at
come on, though, Jeremy. They're not able to identify with it because, and this is my point, they're not even able to have a chance to identify with it because the leading brand of our sport hasn't introduced it to them.
No, you think people are just going to gravitate to it. They're going to see
I'm not saying they're going to gravitate to it. Let's give them a fucking chance to do it, though. They ain't even been given a chance.
It was already on television.
In the 80s. We already talked how that don't matter anymore.
No. Early 2000s.
Early 2000s, okay. What about today?
And what is the
hold on. What has the World of Outlaws done to give people a chance to like it or not? What have they done? What revolutionary marketing ploy or anything that you have seen them attempt to do to give people a chance to even like it or not?
How's Dirt Vision sound?
Okay, well, you got to pay for something that you never heard of. That's my point.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't. But okay, you have to pay. You have to pay.
You have to pay for something you never heard of.
But see, you think. See,
I'm just saying. No. What have they done? No. Honestly, what have they done?
Stop a second.
How have they introduced it to a new person for them to like it or not? What have they done?
Put it on TV. TNN. I watched it on television. I didn't have to pay for it.
I know, but you're talking about TNN's not. Is it a network anymore?
I mean,
hold on. I'm just saying. Where's the marketing?
No. It went away.
Where's the marketing?
It's been on CBS Sports.
What have they done? What have they done? You wanted to respond. I'm sorry. I cut you off. What have they done?
What did you want them to? So what's your grand plan for them to market it to, say, inner cities?
I think the greatest marketing thing I've seen so far by anybody has at least been a sprint car at Lucas Oil Stadium during a Colts game. I mean, at least it's getting in front of someone.
Have you ever watched the game? Have you ever watched the game there?
No, I haven't. No, I've been there, obviously at PRI. At PRI, they do some stuff in the stadium, so I've been in the stadium, but I haven't been to a game.
I've been to about 5 Colts games because my ex-wife has season tickets.
Okay.
And no, I didn't get them in a divorce. So she has season tickets.
Okay.
Those cars sit there. Do you know how many people look at them? Do you know how many people stand by them? None.
Because they don't know what it is.
Okay. But you're saying...
Who's responsible for telling them what it is?
Well, I think there's a level of... Here's the other problem.
That's what I'm saying. That the responsibility in that is the brand.
There's only so many people... Here's another problem, and this is kind of different. And I don't hear people talk... This is kind of like a race team, which I'll get to. I said it tonight on David's thing. There's not enough crew members, which is a bigger problem than what people think.
Yeah, it's true.
There's not enough people to work. So I correlate that to maybe what you're saying. World Racing Group doesn't have enough bodies, physical bodies. Probably. I think we can make the argument.
Glad you put probably.
Probably does not have the number of bodies to run a race, run Dirt Vision, run their social media, and then maybe go to, say, I don't know, Lakeside. Okay, Lakeside. Let's say they're at Lakeside, even though they won't be. High Limit will be there. Go into the city.
Did you just drop a bomb?
No, they're not going to Lakeside.
Hold on, is High Limit going there? What's the situation? I mean, come on.
Yeah, High Limit's going to.
And they dropped and hold on, is that a choose track situation where they've had to choose? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't even. The Outlaws. I don't think that was a choose situation. From what I get, I don't think High Limit's making tracks choose.
Okay, I don't think High Limit is either. I think the other entity might, not. But Lakeside,
I've written that already. They're going there in conjunction with the NASCAR weekend. Now, I do think, and that was probably a bad example, because I do like the sprint car race in conjunction with the NASCAR race, because I think those fans who maybe don't know sprint car racing will go there and maybe get exposed to it and like it, hopefully. So that's probably a bad example.
Exposure's the big issue. Okay. That's what I'm talking about, by the way.
Exposure is a big issue, but nobody can measure it, nobody can quantify it, and nobody can tell me how much money that draws. It's a fictional thing that we all love to say, but nobody can put a value on it. I went through this at the newspaper. When we all went, quick story, we went from print to digital. We printed 3 days a week instead of 7. And my question, I sat in a room with people way more money than us and corporate guys, and I said, how much is that click worth? And nobody to this day can tell me what that's worth, because you don't know what it's worth.
But it does carry. I know we've had this issue In talking,
It's
I
fictional.
do think it carries value, though.
I didn't say it didn't come. What's the value?
Okay. You can't.
Tell me the monetary value.
You can't.
It's fictional. It's fictional.
Well, it falls in the illusion category, yes, but sometimes it is an island and not just a mirage. Simple point. Simple point. Okay, go ahead.
The bottom line. It's a baseball card. It's worth whatever somebody's going to give you for it. I could probably say, okay, I get 500,000 clicks, and you go to another company and say, I got 500,000 clicks. We're both going to get different values.
Agree.
So it's fictional. But still, my thing is, I don't think the World of Outlaws has dropped the ball. I think that's too strong. If you want to say...
They've had a long time to do something about it.
Well, they've also had 3 owners.
Well, they've had one for a very long time.
2005, when Boundless was gone, was...
It's 2023. That's almost 20 years, Jeremy.
Yeah, but 20 years isn't a long time when you're building something like that. The
What
NFL
are you building?
used to be on tape. The NFL used to be on tape delay.
Well, I agree. NASCAR's first broadcast was the fight in the infield. I get what you're saying, but in 20 years they did a lot.
And it took how long for NASCAR to boom?
Okay, good point. You said World Racing Group took over in what year?
I think, oh God, I'm so old. 2005 they took it from Boundless, or 2000. It was 2000. I can't remember if I know NST was 2006. Can't remember when Boundless got out, when Boundless was done. But I think they might have just changed the name, and there might have been some people involved in that who were in this. But for all intents and purposes, and here's the thing too, Ted Johnson ran the World of Outlaws out of the back of a Lincoln. Okay, so he did what he could. So
did a lot.
You're talking about he did do a lot. And I think to put that all there, I think if you're going to say, what did the World Racing Group do? I'm going to say, well, they built their own streaming platform. It's theirs. They built it. They didn't have a company come in and get involved. They built it themselves. In order for them to build it themselves, they had to raise the capital to do it. So they did that. That takes time. You got to build your product and do that. Flow, they're a company that came in. They already had money. They built it with wrestling and other things. So you can't compare the two. So they built Dirt Vision, bring it out to the masses. That takes time. Okay, the model changed a couple times too, and I think they built their driver roster over the years. I think they've built their schedule over the years.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. What do you think has changed since they took it over to what it is? Some people would argue that the Kinzer Swindle era was bigger than anything they've done. Some people would. But how much? Yeah, what have they done since then? What's changed? What's this big progression? I feel like the progression in this payout next year is influenced by High Limit, but that's just me.
Yeah, if you listen to Carter says we raise 1 or 2 things every year, which I can't say he's lying because they have done that. If you look over the last 5-6 years, they have raised something every year. It's been incremental somewhere in their package. So I can't say, okay, Brian, that's not true. And we could speculate all we want, but history has shown he's raised something every, for the last 5 years. Last year, I guess it was the bonus program. This year, it's the tow money and some purses. So there is a progression there. So I'd say Dirt Vision, purses, some bigger shows. In the last 20 years, I would say, or 18 years, I would say building Dirt Vision was their biggest contribution, because let's face it, it really kind of kicked off the stream. It really sent the streaming to another level. And by the way, who is the best stream? If you watch an event on all the platforms, and I'll even include ours.
Flow Racing Night in America with the late models is the best.
Okay,
It is.
that's not what we're talking about.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to talk about dirt track racing productions,
I'm talking about
the
410
Flow late
sprint
model
cars.
productions are the best. I mean, that's the best ones.
Yes, it is. I will agree with you. I'd say the Outlaws and them are pretty close, but yes. But from a sprint car perspective, it's Dirt Vision. And it's not close. It's not close.
Well,
so
I don't know if this was
time.
a soft. Was it a soft opening though for High Limit and everything this year? Kind of. Was it a soft opening? I mean, people were messaging. I'm honest, Jeremy. People were messaging me 2 races in saying, you know, I'm emailing Flo asking them for you to come and be a commentator. I mean, the commentary was really rough to start the damn year. I mean, I still think I could pull color off. Me, you, and you know, Blake Anderson would be the best damn thing in the world on a commentary block. I'm just saying. I mean, I think so. But
I think, and I said this tonight on Gravel Show. I think what people, and I think Brad and Kyle and Flo, I don't think they feel pressure to produce. I think that they have a plan and they're going to execute that plan. I think the outside world, outside of their group, I think the expectations are way high. If you know, I've talked to Brad a good amount over the last 4 months, and look, this is a marathon to him. He's looking at this year one. Hey,
that's why I said soft opening.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that is a very, very good way to put it. I think this year was, hey, can we do this? Is this even viable? They proved the midweek thing was viable. Okay? They did a good job. Yes, we had some hiccups along the way, but here's an interesting thing about Brad and Kyle. They adjust. They're transparent, and I think
Brad's a workhorse.
Good job of, yes, I think that, look at what they've done. They put Mike Hess in charge, so that takes, you know, Kyle and Brad out of the equation as far as, you know, making any calls or being involved in that aspect of it on race night. I thought that was a good, you know, audible, so to speak, of what to do to get this where they want to get it. I think they're hiring people. I think it's a work in progress, and they have a plan that's 3, 5, 7, and 10 years. Does that mean the Outlaws are going to be drastically hurt by it? I don't know.
Depends on what they do. Depends on what they do.
I think they're fine. I think the biggest thing the Outlaws have to worry about at this point is I think we're focusing on the wrong thing when we talk about the Outlaws. I think the Outlaws are the brand. They're the closest thing we have to a governing body in this sport. I think, you know, obviously when you think of sprint car racing, that is the thing you think of. Now, can Kyle and Brad be part of that? Sure. I'm not going to say they can. I think both series can survive and be successful at the national level. I think there's room for that. Where the Outlaws, I think, eventually are going to have to adjust is Dirt Vision and how much they pay to tracks.
Yeah, because they don't give them shit, right?
Right. But you know the way around that? You lease the track or rent the track. And then it doesn't matter.
That's forced because of that situation.
I don't know if you're a promoter in this market, in this ecosystem, the way things are. Somebody comes to you and says, you know what, I'm going to give you $12,000 for your track for the night, and you get to keep concessions. You have no risk.
Yeah, that's the offer they gave Devil's Bow. Yeah,
you're going to take that deal.
Well, but
you're going to take that.
But that's why I say it's forced, but because it's not allowing an option for independency.
Oh no, you could do that, but then you're going to take the other part.
Right, you're going to take the hit because, like what you just said, they're not giving up anything. That's their problem.
Right.
I'm supporting your problem explanation here.
But nobody's talking about the tracks right now. Everybody's talking about owners. Everybody's talking about, drivers. We're talking about the. I'm telling you, at some point, the tracks are going to have to be the consideration, and that's, it's kind of like you want to.
Well, hold on now. If you do the NASCAR playbook, you just do the Lernerville route where the organization starts buying tracks, and that's where you take your series and you segregate your series with the tracks that you own.
But as we've seen, that didn't work.
It did for a little. It does in a minuscule way, because now NASCAR, for those who don't know it, own every fucking track that they go to outside of Indianapolis, I believe.
I still think SMI
they got Dover. Pocono.
Yeah,
Pocono's still family owned, isn't it?
Yep, it's yes, okay. It is still family owned.
I think that's the only one.
But
I think that's the only one.
But there's two entities that own these tracks. The one's Bruton Smith Group or whatever it is, and I've been out of that for a while. Yeah, but the Outlaws owned Lernerville. They owned Weedsport. They owned it. It just didn't work. It's being divided, and I don't think Brad. I mean, he already has silver dollar. Okay. I don't think those guys want to go out. I mean, they're trying to build this thing. If you're talking about buying facilities, I don't think that's something that could happen for 30 years, and I even think that's a stretch. I don't think they want to divide.
And it took a long time. If I was to put Sprint Car in a NASCAR timeline, I would say we're like 1979 NASCAR. Maybe that's a stretch in a way. But
right.
I want to say, to your kind of circle around, how you say the Outlaws aren't threatened and all this and everything else. And even back, like I said, circling around, I only really said this Outlaw is at fault for sprint car racing not being big. Obviously, I was talking about Starbucks and go and ask the Starbucks girl tomorrow and find out, because this is the type of stuff I had to find out by running racetracks and trying to pursue sponsorships and trying to, and I was the footwork of the situation. I was the guy representing tracks, going into businesses, I drove 6,000 miles in a 100-mile radius, going business to business, going organization to organization, trying to sell this sport. If you go talk to ABC in Dallas, Texas, and you ask them about some pissed off fucking redneck who showed up in 2016 as to why you ain't giving a fuck about our sport, they're going to point me out. If you pull the security cameras, you will see my ass standing outside, pissed the fuck off that you don't care about us until Kevin Ward Jr. dies, which is what happened. That's why I was so mad. I was like, you don't give a fuck about us until one of our guys get killed? So this badass race car driver I got down the street right now doing things that any one of y'all can't imagine doing in the sprint car, he's not going to get your phone call until he goes into the corner, flips off into the woods, and dies, huh? That's all he mattered. So if you want to go pull that tape, you can. But anyways, I don't want to get too fucking mad right now. But this is back to reality. As much as we think David Gravel is cool, the world's not going to care about him until he goes off in there and takes his final corner. That's unfortunately the truth. But anyway.
Unfortunately.
And that's why I got so mad. That's why I've been so passionate. That's why I've been talking about this change that needs to be happening. But at the end of the day, I was talking about the Starbucks girl and all this stuff, and then a caller called in. A caller called in last week, I think it was, from Spokane, Washington, and he was like, Chaz, I used to be a dirt track fan as a kid, and I grew up and I got away from it. I moved to Spokane, and then I wanted to get into it again, and I saw Skagit was having an outlaw race, and I went over there, and on the way over there, I stopped and met with some of my friends that I had developed in my life since I was a dirt track fan until this point. And he goes, I talked to these people, and they were like, well, what are you even coming over here to do? And he says, I'm coming over here to this World of Outlaw sprint car thing. And they're like, well, what is it? And he was in the phone call. He was bragging about how he talked to these 5-6 people or whatever and showed them it. And they were like, wow, I've never seen that before. Wow. And this group he was explaining in this conversation, in this phone call he had with me, all of a sudden now they go to Skagit. They went to the race that night. They're in love with the sport. They went to Skagit. They love it. They're watching, Tanner Holmes YouTube videos, whatever the fuck they're doing. And it's like, when he said that, that's when I replied. And I said, that's the problem. It's not your responsibility to be promoting the sport. If I'm going to talk about the Starbucks girl as to why she don't know about this sport, and why his 5 or 6 fans don't know, or people he knew don't know about it, I have to blame the NFL for not knowing about football. I have to blame the branded organization representative who's going to profit from those people not knowing about it, who's going to make money off of that. They are the ones, if we want to talk about representing a sport like they want to say our brand does, well, then your brand is fucking failing. Those 5 people don't know about you. The world don't know about David Gravel till he dies. Who's representing these people? Who's representing this sport who's not doing the proper representation? Who is it? And if you want to claim that you're the brand and you're the representative of the sport, then it's you. And my point was, if this is my point was overall, obviously this was a high limit outlaw discussion. If people are worried about the sport being handed off to Kyle or Brad or whatever the fuck's about to happen, and they're gonna try to take it over or whatever and all this shit, well, let's see what the fuck he can do. Because the like I said, the starting quarterback, known as the World of Outlaws, and we're racing group since 2010, let's just say, they ain't able to make the fucking throw to those 5 fucking people sitting at the table. Let's see if Brad and Kyle can make that throw. And when you say, hold on, let me just finish I'm about to be done.
Go ahead.
When you say that the World of Outlaws don't have nothing to worry about, if Brad and fucking Kyle can find a way, or it's not that hard, if Brad and Kyle can put money in the right place, which is the right way to say it, and find a way to reach those 5 or 6 people, or reach that person that don't know about David Gravel until he dies, and present a driver, and present a organization, and present stars, and present cars to those people, they're instantly beat. They're instantly defeated. That is the bridge that has not been crossed by the World of Outlaws, that if anyone in the dirt racing world can cross that bridge, they're going to instantly beat them because they ain't been able to do it. All right, I'm done. That was my point. That's why I said it.
And I see your point from that aspect, but I will say too, like I used to see commercials on TV for the World of Outlaws going to Williams Grove. In fact, in 1984, I saw a commercial for Doug Wolfgang, and I was a dopey kid. I was 12 years old, and I thought Doug Wolfgang's name was cool.
There you go.
Simply a name thing.
The King, Slammin' Sammy.
Well, I didn't even care about that. It's Doug Wolfgang. That's the guy. That was my guy growing up, and I saw it on TV, and it was an ad for them coming to the Grove. So my father and I, who went to other dirt track races, we went to Penn National, which was modifieds. Believe it or not, it's where I grew up watching modifieds first and super sportsman. And, but TV doesn't work anymore.
No.
The reason it doesn't work anymore.
No.
I think there's more challenges now. I think there's more challenges. Look, again, I'm not saying Brad and Kyle can't do that. And when I say the World of Outlaws have nothing to worry about, I don't mean it in the sense of, yes, High Limit could take a chunk out of their business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're going to have 2 quarterbacks on the field. The backup isn't coming in and taking over for both quarterbacks are going to be on the field.
Hey, it sounds like to me Drew Bledsoe's going down, and this bum Tom Brady's coming in.
Well, I think we're stretching it a bit there.
That's a little bit of a stretch. I'm just saying.
other-
I mean, I'm just saying. Like,
the other-
honestly, people said that, when Drew Bledsoe went down and this fucking, guy who couldn't even outbeat fucking, what was his name, Henning or whatever at Michigan, the 7, couldn't even
Henning, he couldn't beat out
Chad Henning.
guy played baseball.
I think
it wasn't.
Oh, fuck, what was the guy's name?
It wasn't
he played
Chad
for the
Henning.
Cowboys. He played for the Cowboys. I mean, that's why I remember the dude's name. But what's
Drew
the
Henson.
dude's name? Oh, you got me looking now. Drew Henning, who beat out Tom Brady at hold on, Tom Brady at Michigan.
Drew Hanson.
Is Henning or whoa.
Hanson.
No, it's not. Yeah, you might be right on the Hanson. Or
yeah, because he went and played baseball and tried to play in the Yankees organization.
He did go he did go I can't bring it up, but yeah, Drew Henson. I think you're correct.
Yeah, I know I'm correct. My dad's a big Michigan fan.
but you know what I'm saying? That's what people thought. That's what people thought when Drew Bledsoe, the number 1 draft pick, went down. I mean, that's what they thought.
Anything could happen. Look, we live, but there's challenges now. Just always keep this in mind. There's more challenges now. You're fighting against TikTok. You're fighting against kids' attention spans being the size of a gnat. You're fighting. Well, you can't do radio ads anymore because people don't really listen to the radio now. They listen to Sirius, and even that's waning now. You can't go by television because now everybody has an app. Okay, we have Paramount Plus, we have Disney Plus, we have this plus, that plus. So cable's is kind of losing its luster. I think there's a lot more challenges now than, like the NFL thing. The NFL, everything lined up. NASCAR, when they had their stretch, they had the personalities come up. They had everything.
They had a movie come to
up.
life, Jeremy. Let's just fucking stop bullshitting.
Everything worked.
They had a California sprint car driver race the man in black. That's literally the movie came to life in a 6-year span.
Yeah, it's you couldn't script it. And
addition to that was you had the big brother, IndyCar racing, get split up with IRL and kart.
Yeah. Correct.
And personally, I say that's F1's jealousy. I think F1 had a big player in that because, Nigel Mansell left Formula One. That's so crazy to think. We get all, or at least I get upset when a sprint car guy goes to NASCAR. Why is that so much more important? It degrades our sport. You're using it as a stepping stone. Like, Nigel Mansell, the actual Formula One champion, left to go to kart, man. Left to go to kart.
I interviewed that guy.
That's crazy.
That guy, well, he already.
That's how big kart was.
Waning. He was waning a bit over there too, and Nigel was anybody that's out there who knows Formula One. Nigel was a little. He could ruffle feathers.
Yeah, he was outspoken. I heard he kind of got kicked out at F1. Technically, that's why that happened. But
he came over here, and of course, got with Andretti, I believe it was, and of course.
Well, that was the swap year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to. The years.
I think that's the year Michael went over to F1.
Yes, Michael. I think Michael went over there, and he came over here, and I mean, interviewing him was great because we never saw anything over here like that. Over there, you can say whatever you want.
Right.
And of course, he had personality. I think his first press conference that I was in, he said, "If I win today, I'm going to go out and get pissed." Which we didn't know what the hell that meant. Well, it means drunk.
All right.
So it was just, he had this flair, and he was just, So again, everything lined up for all these other sports, and I just don't know if there's enough money. I don't think there's enough people involved. That's the other thing too, bodies. Just physical bodies. I don't know if either organization whether it's high limit. And look, I think they can grow it. I think they can make something nice, but I don't know if they can take it out of niche, where we're talking about them with the NHL.
Well, and I mean, hold on. Let's set back into reality, and this is why I like you using the UFC example, because
Right.
UFC is not as established as the NFL is at all. It took off in a very quick way.
Sure.
It was up against boxing, and I like the analogy of UFC to boxing as dirt to NASCAR. I think that that's how we should be utilizing it. I think it's possible. But they did a smart thing in and this is what I'm saying when you say the outlaw shouldn't be threatened. They did it. They took it and figured out a way. They organized a way to reach those 5 people in Seattle, Washington, and turn them in to the fan of this sport that no one's heard about. And I think that that's where the money, that's where the progression, that's where the bridge from niche to established is located. It's not going to be located in hoping to sell a Dirt Vision subscription to the 60-year-old guy who's been a lifetime dirt track fan. You know, I feel like that's the only negative I think about the streaming in this aspect, is that streaming is trying to siphon off of the fan base that is already in existence. It's not necessarily trying to expand the fan base and bring in new people. And I think that's where organizations like World of Outlaws or any of these people can sit back kind of and say, well, that's up to the track promoters to go and promote the sport. That's up to the little people in these little bitty regions to go out to the local areas. And you're in a great area, Jeremy. You're in a great area for knowing about it. It is on TV in Pennsylvania, but it isn't on TV in the rest of the world. And I've even been down there next to the river in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and people not know what a sprint car is.
Oh,
even in that establishment with all of your reach.
Yeah.
But I'm simply saying that I think that anyone who figures out how to organize themselves and maybe puts money into trying to reach those new people is that's the bridge. The bridge is there.
Yeah, boy.
It's a hard bridge. It's a difficult bridge. But if you would put, instead of $2 million into your hopeful championship deal, that you would put $2 million into marketing to those people, that you would be able to generate $10 million of revenue to pay for that championship. The revenue is out there.
Here's the problem. Your drivers and owners want their piece, so it's hard to, instead of put $2 million in that prize fund, everybody's going to have to pull in the same direction, and that's a huge problem in all of dirt track racing.
Hold on, though. What? Honestly, let's just be honest about it. What's more important to the modern person or the car owners and all this stuff? We've talked about this privately, publicly, whatever. The ego runs the fucking sport. So
absolutely,
the money, these money men, all they do is buy what me and you already have, and that's called status. So what's more valuable to money men? Winning more money, which they're already losing, or elevating their status within society?
Well, we can argue that till we're blue in the face.
Exactly, buddy.
I know what they talk about, and they talk about money.
Because they think that that's going to elevate their status, because that's all they've ever been able to do is use their money to build their status.
It doesn't matter how or why. My biggest issue with anything in dirt track racing, no matter what it is, it goes even to a local show where guys get mad about, let's say, track conditions. They think it's dangerous. The minute the top guy doesn't go out, all the other ones are going to give in and go out because they want to beat him. Same principle.
Why do you think they align with Kyle to begin with? They're hoping to suck off his status.
But again, I just don't know if this sport's big enough that you can get enough resources to cross that bridge. Whether the
But it's going to take an organization to even attempt the bridge. And it seems like that World of Outlaws haven't been trying to cross the bridge.
I think they've tried to do what they can to grow their business and do the best they can.
But their business is based on making the money off the 50 and 60-year-olds. It's been diehards.
Yeah, but I mean, look at their driver roster. Their driver roster is a lot younger than it used to be, so you can make the argument they're trying to, I mean, I
always laugh. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I want to make a point on that point. I always laugh when people say, "Oh, well, you heard this notion like in the mid 2020 teens. Oh, well, he didn't make it to NASCAR because he's not a good-looking guy, or he's not a flashy-looking person." I'm sorry, but Brad Keselowski looked like a fucking horse face. I'm not gay, but it seems like Spencer Basin and David Gravel look a little bit better than them. So I mean, we got guys.
Greg Biffle. Have you ever seen Greg Biffle?
Come on, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have people who are worth marketing.
I don't think that's a problem. My big thing again goes back to infrastructure. The infrastructure of an ecosystem of this sport in sprint car racing, I just don't know if it lends itself to the expansion that you're hoping for. Now, again, let me stress.
Hold on. That I'm hoping for, or that no one's even attempting to do?
I think both.
I mean, if the guy from Spokane can get 6 fucking new fans who've never heard of it, why have they never heard of it? Who is not promoting to people? When did the World of Outlaws not? Are they just not? Or is the World Racing Group not a promotional group? Are they not promoting?
Wait a minute though. We got some holes there with your Spokane thing. Were there ads put out in that area? In their local shop?
No. He in his explanation, he drove. Well, Spokane's about 6 hours from Skagit, which is where he was going. It was on the way. He said he talked to people in Seattle on the way that he knew that's Seattle's about a good 30, 45 minutes-ish from Skagit, but they had never heard of it before. Why are these people not hearing about it? Who is responsible for not telling the people? And if there's no one responsible for telling the people, then who is? And I think that's where the UFC guy comes in. And whether that's Kyle or Brad, it doesn't matter.
Isn't the track culpable for that as well?
Well, back to what I just said. The World of Outlaws could sit back and say, well, it's the promoter's fault for not promoting the sport.
Well, and the promoter can... So here we are.
But then they can't get no streaming revenue. Hold on. You do all that work, you ain't going to get no cut of it.
Yeah, but do you want to fill your stands?
I mean, a double-edged sword is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, but do you want to fill your stands? So,
okay. Do you want to book a World Outlaw show who tells you you should be promoting your sport, or do you want to book a high limit show where Kyle Larson's on at Indianapolis talking about it, or Brad Sweet's trying to bust his ass to kick their ass to do it? Like, and I think that's where I'm saying, like, I think that a Brad Sweet and a Kyle Larson is going to come in here with that potential angle because they have to. The World of Outlaws have been sitting back with this brand and I think being lazy about it.
I wouldn't call them lazy. I think that's a strong term.
Well, as far as promoting the sport of sprint car racing, are they not?
I think
you just said it's up to the track promoters.
No, that's not what I said. I said, couldn't we say they're culpable as well? That's a difference from. I didn't say I didn't say it was them. I said they're culpable. From what I'm told, the World of Outlaws work with the tracks on marketing. They work in tandem. A lot of their shows are shared. So they work in tandem. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I'm not in the room. I'm not in the World Racing Group, and I don't work for the track. So I don't know what that means. I do not know when they share marketing, I don't know. I know geofencing goes on. I do know that. I know there's other things, those newfangled things that they bring up. I'm not a geofencer, but I know geofencing's done in this area, especially by Bass Motor Speedway. So I would assume that would fall under that. Is that a viable tool? I don't know. I mean, someday we just might have to say, hey, you know what? Some people just aren't interested in it.
I mean, but
I know that's hard to swallow.
But hold on. That's fine.
But,
as long as they have an option to say, I don't like that. That's not even an option. And this is what I used to say. And honestly, you own a streaming company. So when I hear people, when I hear tracks saying streaming's taking away my business, you know, I hear GoPro. I hear the color green. I hear peanuts in the pitting area. I hear a fucking excuse because I heard the same fucking thing 10 years ago. Oh, well, instead of streaming wasn't around. You know, it wasn't as prevalent for sure. I heard, well, there's just so many things to do on a Saturday night. Why would somebody come out here? But I go down the corner here and they don't even know you're a fucking thing to do. So you're being a lazy promoter and not even allowing people to put you on the menu of things to choose this weekend. So I believe that streaming has slowly become a scapegoat for lazy track promoters. In my opinion, it's become a easy scapegoat.
It's a target. I think some of that's true, but I'm not going to I've talked about streaming numerous times, and obviously our model's a lot different. If you're going to stay home and watch it on our with us being the platform you can view a race, you're going to pay $1.99 more than gate price. So you're paying to stay at home. So my model's different. But there's so many factors that go into it. Rain in the area. That seems to be the most finicky thing. Right now, if you want to tell me what's the biggest thing that takes people out of stands, I'm going to say when the cell phone came along and you can look up the radar. Because no longer can you lie. You were at a track. I'm sure you guys lied your asses off.
Oh, God.
When people called.
Oh, God. Oh, God. We're racing tonight. Sun's out. Now, in honesty, I'm sure you've experienced it. I have drove through a torrential downpour and a half mile from the track. All of a sudden it stopped and we did race. But, yeah, I mean.
And I've also sat in the parking lot and called them and said, hey, what's the weather at the track? And they said, oh, it's sunny. I'm like, okay.
No, it ain't, you lying son of a bitch. Wow.
So I
the horrible things white people will do for money. I just don't get it. But
there's just so many factors. I think it's a very complicated thing. And just in closing, because I got a long day tomorrow driving. I think High Limit and the World of Outlaws will both be around. I think they both can survive. I think they both can succeed. I didn't say that the World of Outlaws have nothing to worry about. I'm more in the camp of they're both going to run their businesses. I said it tonight on Gravel Show. I think they're two different things. I think one group is going to run less races, and that's going to suit certain drivers. And then there's going to be the Outlaws who are going to run more races, and they have to because of their vision, because they have their own platform that they built, and they have to make that worthwhile. They have to make it the price you pay for it. It's got to be worth it. So they got to schedule races. So I think it's going to be two different things. I think both can be successful. I think they both can run good shows. I think they both can bring money into a racetrack. If we really want to worry about something, I think we need to worry about the regional programs only in Pennsylvania and Ohio, because they're the only two regional programs affected. The Midwest is going to have as many races. California's going to have more races. And I worry that stars won't be in Pennsylvania, so are people going to come out? Are they going to come out to see guys
Danny Dietrich,
maybe
Devin Borden?
Yeah, I mean, are they going to come out and just see 3 or 4 guys instead of maybe 6 or 7 guys? If Brent Marks or Anthony Macri's on the road, man, those guys are popular here. So,
Right.
you know,
We'll
I
stay home
worry
and
about
watch
that.
Flow.
Well, and here's the other problem, Chaz. We have too many races in Pennsylvania. I said that earlier. I've been criticized for saying that. 118 races in central Pennsylvania down to Bridgeport is too many. It just doesn't work.
And I thought that
anymore.
was an interesting point, you know, even with when y'all were talking about the schedule tonight, you know, Brad, or you were talking about Brad's selling point was this limited schedule. And I think Dirt Tracker kind of said, you know, who's for sure that they're going to race that many. And I left a comment. I'm not sure if you saw it, but you know, the national late model scene, which it seems like what the sprint car scene is slowly trying to become, the national late model scene, Lucas Oil, World of Outlaw Late Models, they got 45-ish races a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And Davenport in 2022, when he eclipsed 2 million, I believe he's it was like 120 races that he actually ran. And he didn't even run for a championship. He was just hitting all the money races. So it doesn't mean that just because there's lower scheduled races that you technically race less. But I do think your point was kind of if Brad could get it to a sustainable level where you're paying enough in those 60-ish races that you don't have to run 90 or 100, that is the selling point of the situation.
Well, it is selling point, and my other point was it's irrelevant. If the other guys want to go run more races outside of the series, go ahead. He's just providing the option.
The freedom factor, as we've coined it, the freedom factor.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the World of Outlaws running 4 races. Look, they have a brand to protect. They want to do it. That's on them. Is there proof? No, but you know, whatever. That's what they want to do. I'm not going to hammer them for that too much. But Brad's just giving everybody a different option. And I think Brad and Kyle and High Limit, if the guys want to run 10, 15, 20 races outside of that High Limit series, so be it. He's just giving them the option for less.
Okay.
So I think that it's irrelevant. Really.
Okay, so here's how I would like to end this. And you're smart. You're not dumb. You sound like you put me on speakerphone, which is a big mistake. You know, big mistake. No, I'm just playing. But at the end of the day, here let me just. I'm not trying to simplify it, but I am for some. Not you. You don't need simplification. Some people do. But straight up question: Who is a better? Where are the? Hold on. Here we go. Where are the best race car drivers in America potentially located? No matter what car, no matter what brand, no matter what organization, where are, and I think you're a sprint car guy, dirt guy for sure, where do you think the best drivers are right now? Like you could put them in any car and they're that damn good. I mean, you know, sprint car is the most extreme race car in the world, technically. It's F1 on dirt, which takes it to another whole level. Where do you think like if I was to tell you who's a better race car driver, Ryan Blaney or Kyle Larson, is that even a discussion?
I'm gonna say California.
I say Ryan Blaney or Kyle Larson.
You asked me where they come from. I'm going to say California.
No. That's not where I'm going. Who's a better race car driver, Ryan Blaney or Kyle Larson?
Kyle Larson.
Okay. We know this. Okay. I would say that there's a lot more driver. I would say David Gravel's a better race car driver than Ryan Blaney. Because I think you could put David Gravel in a cup car and he'd keep up with Ryan Blaney way better than Ryan Blaney could keep up in a sprint car with David Gravel. That's just what I think.
I think it's 2 different disciplines, and I think both of them would take time, and I can't answer that. It's 2 different disciplines.
You're being very nice. I think that somebody could drive a sticker headlight vehicle a little quicker and figure that out quicker than a 900 horsepower insane machine on a. I'm sorry. I think tossing into turn 3 at Williams Grove when it's dry slick at 140 is a little bit harder than lifting off the gas, hitting the brake, and listening to your mommy and daddy tell you where to be on the racetrack. But regardless, my point is, they don't say that. They don't say that. Like, NASCAR takes their roster and they project that to the country as the best race car drivers in America for sure, and they try to do it to the world. And then they take their roster and they say to the world, "We are the best." And if
I've
you
never heard them say that in one act.
I would hope that they would do that. But I've heard them say greatest race car drivers in America. But okay, regardless,
best series in America.
Well, best series in America. Oh, I'm just saying. This is what I'm saying. Is like regular people who don't know any better think that. They think, and I've argued with NASCAR fans who think that Chase Elliott could go to the Knoxville Nationals and lap the fucking field. I have comments of this. They think that that's possible because
they're idiots.
They don't know. They're idiots. Right. But the idiots pay the bills. The wolves put on the show. The sheep pay for the show. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is if Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson can put a roster of drivers together and market them correctly to the nation, to people, to the country, it don't matter if we know that David Gravel is better than Zeb Wise. It don't matter because they can project a falsified illusion that their drivers are the better of the entire world. They are the best. They can take their roster to like I said in the comment section, they can take their roster to the Indianapolis 500 with Kyle. Get them interviews on NBC. Introduced to the society and the world instantly. Project them as the best because that's what they should do as an organization, just like NASCAR should with theirs, And instantly to the sheep, the dummies who think Chase Elliott could win the Knoxville Nationals, instantly to the money of the world, the real revenue, the revenue all of a sudden believes that. This is the type of stuff that I think that a Brad and a Kyle can do versus a outlaw situation. And that's why I've been projecting, I think that they're severely, the competition here is severely underestimating the drive of a Brad Sweet. They're severely underestimating how much Brad Sweet actually wants to do something here. He wants to make fucking waves, and he's willing to put in the work to do it. And then I also think they're underestimating how much that projection can matter with the platform that a Kyle can put that projection on.
Well, we're gonna find out.
That's a big deal, man. We know that it's stupid, right? We know that Chase can't win the Knoxville Nationals, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just like David Gravel can't win the.
Don't say Daytona 500 because a monkey can drive around that track. Continue.
Well, he's been on that track and he didn't win.
He did very well in his first race.
Oh, stop!
With no practice in a COVID year. No practice. You know that, right?
Okay.
You know that, right?
That was ARCA.
He had no practice.
It was ARCA. You could drive ARCA.
No. I'm talking about his truck debut. Was that at Charlotte?
Yeah, I'm not sure where he drove it, but I mean, look.
No practice. No practice. He was running 10.
I am not going to diminish what those guys do to prop someone else up. I'm just not going to do it. And the other thing
I agree.
is,
Respect.
nobody is going to go to the Indianapolis 500 and interview those drivers. You want to know why? Because they're going to be at Port Royal running the Bob Weichert Memorial that same weekend.
Big mistake.
Well, whatever the case is, they're going to be at the Bob Weichert Memorial.
I'm just saying this is that I think the drive of a Brad Sweet mixed with the reach of a Kyle Larson is very dangerous and is being underestimated.
Well, I mean, look, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not in the halls of the World Racing Group. My stance is clear. I think both can survive. I think both can be successful. there's room for 2 national tours. This isn't USA. It's not NST.
No.
I think Brad and them at High Limit have a lot of work to do. He acknowledges that. I think that they are just building things. I think the first year is going to be a lot of experimentation, some learning. I think they'll make adjustments and continue to make it better. And I think the World of Outlaws, again, I think there's things that they're going to work on, continue to make better. They did it with the tow money. Obviously, they're keeping the bulk of their guys. Now, granted, I do think teams want to see how it goes the first year with High Limit.
Right.
I don't even think this year is a big deal. If you want to talk about a big deal between the two series, I think it's 2025.
Unless we do
Or
multi-year
2026.
contracts.
That's never going to happen because people don't want to
Okay.
sign multi-year contracts because things change. We talked
But that
about
is a big
tonight with the
difference
stream.
between professional sports and what we're doing here. Is in professional sports,
Sure.
multi-year contracts is a standard.
Yeah, well, it's a standard, but in the NFL, you can cut anybody anytime.
Right, I understand that, but there's no other where to go and actually make the same amount unless you want to CFL the shit. But
yeah, but so there's just a lot of variables there, and I don't think multi-year deals is something that any owner is going to sign. I just don't think you can run this like you run those other organizations because there's not enough infrastructure. And all those leagues, the infrastructure is really good. But
right.
On that note, I'm going to go to bed because I got to get stuff done tomorrow.
I mean, I agree with you. Before we get you out of here, I agree with you on the infrastructure. I went to Gainesville, my first NHRA race to begin the year, and I was in traffic for probably a solid 3 hours, and there was 30,000 people, and I sat there, and I almost like a light bulb went off. I was like, what track could actually sustain this? Like if sprint car racing became big tomorrow and all of a sudden 100,000 people wanted to go to a track, there's not a track they could go to.
Nope. A lot of issues, a lot of different variables. And unfortunately, Chaz, it is what it is.
But that's where the revenue's at because, you know, there's only 15,000 seats or 20 at an NBA Finals game, but those fucking tickets are $1,000 because they're in demand, and the people who can't afford it have to go watch on your streaming, Jeremy. They can't afford to go to the race. They have to watch the stream. You know,
they fill those
18,000
seats. They fill those 18,000 seats 82 times a year.
Well, I'm just saying that the price of that seat goes up, and that's how the promoter actually makes the money. You know.
Well, and this is very blue collar. People bitch about $20, $25 at Lincoln and Port Royal.
There is a classism issue. There is a classism issue.
Good luck with all that.
Oh God.
I mean,
okay.
There's a lot of things that would have to change. Boy, that's what I mean. I think it's a lot to put on one side or the other because I think it really is just the overall infrastructure of the sport. I think it's the overall fragmentation of the sport. I think there's just a lot of things pulling in a lot of different directions to not cross that bridge. I'm not saying High Limit can't make it better. I think he definitely can. I think the World of Outlaws can make it better. They could both make it better. I just think to get it to where I think the heights you want it, I think there are so many things working against it. And
well, I don't necessarily want us to be NFL, but we could maybe catch up with Rallycross or Supercross or one of these lower things that are relevant in society.
Okay.
I don't have to explain to people what a dirt bike is, but when I tell them what a sprint car is, they say, is that dirt bikes, you know.
How much do those dirt bikes cost?
Well, you can finance them.
Yeah, but sprint cars cost a lot.
I mean, that's the point. You can finance a dirt bike. I get it. You know, that's also the greatest promotional tool of a sprint car in a way is that it's not like any other vehicle. You know, it's a machine of its own. I think that's a good tool personally, but I know you got to go to bed. I don't want to keep you going, but
Yeah, no, I got an early rise tomorrow. So, but no, it's a pleasure being on as always, and
You're
hopefully
lying.
people
You hate it.
listen. No,
You're gonna blame me
no,
tomorrow.
if I hated it, trust me, anybody who knows me, I wouldn't do it.
The question is, are you a professional gaslighter?
No, I just tell it
Oh.
like it is. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I
If
can't.
they don't, they call you a gaslighter and a narcissist, Jeremy. That's what happens.
What? Well, I just try to be as honest as I can about it, and that's it. I don't have an agenda.
Okay. SprintCarUnlimited.com. Free ad on the
All right,
screen
thanks,
this
guys.
entire time. You know that.
All right. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
All righty, Jeremy.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So that was Jeremy Elliott. I honestly, I think that was a really good discussion. There's some things that I think people don't know that I've actually experienced in the world and been through and seen and verbalized and actually got to experience. And I think maybe sometimes some people in the racing world don't get outside or go to the other side of town and actually talk to people. I think they maybe get stuck in their ego a little bit too much to even question or think differently than their personal indoctrination. Not to tie this back to the beginning of the show, but very interesting situation. But anyways, it is kind of late. It is officially Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. I am thankful for, let's see, the girlfriend. Definitely, she's hot as fuck. My blonde hair, she did that. I'm thankful for being a professional gaslighter. I'm thankful for being short. I'm thankful for my below average penis size. I'm just thankful for myself. You know, I mean, I'm a narcissist, so I'm all about me. You know, fuck all y'all people. But anyways, no, I'm just kidding. I do want to give a shout out though to my uncle. Severe loss, and my cousin. I want to say niece, Ella, who is I don't know, 8-9 years old. I just went back down to Devil's Bow to my old stomping grounds and met a bunch of people. My uncle was there and got to meet him and his wife, Kathy, and the daughter, Ella. And unfortunately, just here recently, Kathy all of a sudden died from heart failure. And young Ella is now without her mom. Uncle Kelly is without his wife. And also sudden, so instantly taken away. I think that's kind of the Thanksgiving that you can be thankful for. Is that you have the opportunity in this world to still be giving, still be living, still be experiencing people that matter to you in your life. And maybe if there's any way to say that you may be taking advantage of the things that you are that you should be thankful for, is that you're not understanding how valuable your everyday life in society in this world actually is. And the people who are close to you, maybe you should be more thankful for them instead of potentially judgmental. This, that, and the other, whatever it is that you're strenuously grieving on your shoulders, whatever weight is on your shoulders, if you would just potentially have some Thanksgiving and thankful for everything that you actually have, you could appreciate everything that is laid upon your feet. And I think that's kind of what everyone should be thankful for, is what you actually have. Because whether you believe in a higher power or a lower power, someone's giving you what you got. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the show. I want to thank Jeremy Elliott for coming on. Our talks earlier about weight loss and everything were great. Hopefully everybody goes and watches it. And I think our discussion was good. You hate me, you like me, I'm a professional gaslighter douchebag. Who gives a fuck? Go buy the damn shirt. I like it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, happy Thanksgiving. And we will catch you next time. Like the video, comment below, subscribe, all the fun stuff. And we will catch you next time.
This is how we ride, this is how we do.